I'm Shelly James and welcome to another lesson on paintabilities. Today we're going to be finishing up our beautiful beachscape, so I hope you'll come along with me and let's go to the beach. Okay, so we're back for part 2 of this simple ocean landscape, and I'm ready to share with you how we're going to create this seagrass, sea oats in front and finish off some of our shading and highlighting to refine this a little more. Okay, so I'm working with a 3/8 angle brush. I'm going to load this with sap green, a good amount of sap green, and then I'm going to come and get Camel, excuse me, on one corner, worked in with that green on 1/2. Okay, so working those together. And so what we want to do now is start to stroke the stems of our sea oats that's sitting over here on the left side of our design. So on the toe of that brush handle, straight up and down, I'm going to pull some stems up. I need a little bit of medium to help me move. And I want this a little bit lighter. So we're going to start with some dark ones and then we'll add some lighter ones. There's a lot of sea grass, and then they have oats. And they fall over in different directions. A lot of curves because of the wind. I'm going to come and get just the camel on that toe now. Maybe a little bit of white to lighten that. And let's come back to our green. So it's very easy just to transition between these colors. As you work them off your brush, then you just come and add the colors you want back in. So I'm going to put some smaller ones here. And further away, you're going to have less definition, and they appear shorter, but they're not. A little thinner in color, and then closer to you, they're going to be more robust in color and have more definition to them. And bring these ones in the foreground over the ones in the background. Let's get a little bit of white there. So some variation in color makes this look more interesting. Come back to my dark green. And don't forget your edges also when you're doing wrapped canvases. Now here we have some green that's coming, the grass is coming from off the canvas over this dark area, or this light area, I should say. Okay. And you're seeing through it into that light area, so that's kind of a neat little trick there. Get back that white, and we will finish up. So notice in our original photograph that the sea oats, from where we are standing, they're big and tall, and they go up into the sky, way up here. So they're a prominent part of, and almost a focal point of this design. Okay, so don't make this look too short. We're framing the left side of this picture with this big mound of grass and sea oats. Okay, so I'm going to come up way up here and do one there. And then let's have some cross here and there. There. Okay, so now we want to add the tips to these sea oats. So I'm going to come and get a 6 flat. No, let's get an 8 flat. Something just a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to load this 8 flat with Wicker white. And then I'm going to side stroke some real brown. And I'm going to get a little bit of the Camel on the Wicker white. Okay. Strong white on the tip. Okay, so let's come down, or actually I'll just lift this up so you can see it a little better. So these oats, they start out with a little pull at the tip, and they're little short strokes. Okay, so coming back to that stem, and I just keep side stroking little bits of white here. Get a little of that brown. And I'm going to turn the brush around and pull some of the dark bits of this real brown. And then come back and get some white on top. Okay, so that's how those look. Then if you want to emphasize the stem, again, you can come in with just a little bit of this brown coming up, right? Because the tips are kind of brown. The main stems are fairly green, but the tips are kind of brown until they get older and the rest of them turn brown. Okay, so let's come get some just that Camel right here. And we're going to do one with that color. Going across this one. Short little pulls. The tip has a little point on it. And then these are layered. All right, and then we'll get some of this brown. All right, wipe that off and get a little bit of white. Okay, so that's the stroke we're doing. I'm just going to keep working on these. Now the wind is blowing these, so they actually almost stand straight out. Some of this dark brown. So this is real brown. You could use burnt umber too, either of those is fine. I'm just going to continue to put all this Camel on here, and then we'll come through with our other colors, and they'll turn out just like the rest of those. And make them look different. Don't make them all look exactly the same. So, you know, maybe have some that are older, so they're more brown and starting to fall over. Some are younger, maybe they're more pale colored. And remember, sometimes they're facing you. so they aren't tipped over, they're standing up straight. So if I want to make sure I emphasize a dark color, I wipe my brush off and come pick that up. Turn my brush over and get my light color. Let's see, we'll put a few in here, not much. Okay. All right, so I think, let's do one more. I want to balance this out. I've got a lot of high ones and I want to have a few that aren't quite so high. So let me come back to my camel. Fill in some of this lower area here. Okay, and let's maybe have this guy right here. Now this one against that tan, we're going to have mostly dark color to see. Here we go. And you can come in with your light, and that will show up. All right, bring that brown back in. And then I want to let's get some medium and this brown. All right, and here and there, you can pull a few brown stems in here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now out here, let's grab some green and maybe have a few coming out of the sand. Since they're going around this hill right here. Trying to make it living in that sand, but not quite getting out there far enough. And then underneath those, you can come in with just a little bit of brown. Actually, let's clean this off. And we'll come in with Camel. Yeah, that needs to be brown. Okay, and we'll just create a little bit of sand mounding here. So it looks like they're pushing their way up. And so continuing to add to the texture of the sand, now I'm coming through with some other colors, whatever I got on my brush. Okay. All right, now, next thing I want to do, I'm going to take this 1/2 inch mop and And I'm going to get that medium, and I'm going to come here and get just a touch of this gray. This is classic French gray. Okay, and I'm going to come up here underneath my clouds. I'm not making it look stormy. I'm just adding some shading into my clouds so that they're not all one color. It's not really coming through on the camera, but it's just a little slight. There we go. A little slight change in color underneath, right, as the sun hits in one side, then they're more dense in other areas. It shows as darker. Okay. And then come and get just a touch of white, strong white on the corner of that brush. And go right out for the edges. Tap that in, and that will make these clouds look a little more realistic. We had to let those dry before we could do this. So this is kind of like part 2 on the clouds. And then I like to have little misty edges on my clouds so that they look like they, you know, get pushed around by the wind. But you can do whatever you like for yours. I'm just going to soften that out with a little of that blue. And that looks really good. I'm happy with that. There we go, up and in front of that gray. All right, now, to finish this off, last thing I want to do is, I should say a couple things I want to do yet still, but medium on this brush, a little bit of this camel, a little bit of this white. Let's come in here. Bring some of that light back in, whitewash over the footprints in the sand. Okay. All right, then I want to get a little bit of strong white on that chisel edge, and this is what we're going to do to kind of create the sea foam coming in. So you're going to tap here on these curves that are coming towards you, right, and lift up just a little bit. They're not splashing, they're just kind of rounded off. Come on, my white got dry on top. You tap it in like that. So right here, you're creating that kind of lift in the foam. See there? So it's got a little bit of a height to it. And that got a little fluffy. I don't want it quite that fluffy. There. Okay, so I'm just going to do it on the ones I can get to. I can't really get to the ones back there. But then, oops, I didn't mean to get that in water. Then I want to come and get just a tiny, no, not that color, the littlest piece of Prussian blue. All right, and at the base of these, you're going to tap that in so it's got a little, almost like a little shadow being created underneath it. Now you can come in and float that shadow in there too, but I like to make it part of it. So you got to have white with that Prussian blue. It can't be heavy Prussian. And you just tap the chisel edge at the base of it. And then I'm going to get a little bit stronger under here. As these waves start to curl over, they do cast a little bit of a shadow on the water underneath. So all right, now let's get a 12 flat, and I'm going to get some medium, and then I'm going to side load some Prussian blue. No, not Prussian blue. What am I doing? Side load a little bit of this real brown. And what you want to do now to give these even more height is you shade underneath the sea foam as it's coming in, and you can even go and shade between the ones on the water. Not a lot of brown because you don't want, you know, out here it's just a hint of it. Up here you can be stronger with it. Just where those little lifts in the sea foam are created, and then they go off again, right? So here, this one's strong, and then it fades, and then you might have a little bit here, and then over here. You could use the blue or the brown. I might grab just a little bit of that Prussian blue in here because I don't want that to look dirty. There we go. A little bit of Prussian. So it's water shading on top of water. Okay, so doesn't that look a little more realistic? I'm going to come and get medium and this real brown. And we're going to pull out some more shadows here on our sand. Get some of this classic French gray with the real brown, I think. To strengthen some of those shadows. There we go. Now remember, wet sand is darker, so you can't even come in here, but it's so far out in that picture that you really don't see that much of that detail. Okay. right, so I think that's pretty good. I'm going to get my script liner, and I'm going to get some inky real brown. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson in creating a simple, basic seascape, sea landscape, ocean landscape from a photograph. And there you go. So I can't wait to see what you do with yours. And until next time, thank you for watching Paintabilities. Bye-bye.